Hi, I'm Robert, and welcome to our show Review Rebels. Today we'll be doing a review on the book Animal Farm by George Orwell. The first thing we are doing today is analyzing the characters and finding the real-life allegories.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. This is Napoleon, the oldest male boy of the farm, successor of Old Major and eventually dictator of the animal farm. He aids in the rebellion but later disagrees with Snowball and eventually kicks him out and takes over the farm. Eventually, he completely destroys the 7 commandments and leaves only one. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Soon afterwards, he becomes human, along with the rest of the pigs, by carrying whips, walking upright, and living in Mr. Jones's house, drinking alcohol, and such other human practices that he had condemned only a few years before. He is an allegory of Joseph Stalin, leader of the Soviet Union, and who first helped the rebellion, but eventually he became dictator and forced his partner Leon Trotsky to flee the country. This is Snowball, leader of the revolution and creator of the windmill design. He was partners with Napoleon until Snowball was kicked out, and Napoleon used him as a scapegoat, saying Snowball was the cause of all their problems. Snowball is an allegory of Leon Trotsky, who was partners with Joseph Stalin until Trotsky was forced to leave and was eventually killed in Mexico by Stalin's agents. Here is Boxer, a hard-working horse who devotes himself to the farm. He is easily one of the best animals on the farm because even though he isn't very smart, he is a hard worker. But when he's injured, his body is sold to a glue maker to buy some more beer for the pigs. He is Napoleon's most dedicated animal, but once his usefulness is expired, he was just used for improving the pigs' needs. He's an allegory for no one in particular, just a hard-working middle class of communist Russia, who is exploited for Stalin's comfort. This is Wheeler, a small, fat pig who spreads Napoleon's propaganda and secretly changes the 7 commandments. He explains to the other animals the questionable activities and things Napoleon and the pigs do, such as explaining why the van took Boxer to the vet. The vet had signs of being a butcher. He is an allegorical to the newspaper and propaganda of the Soviet Union, spreading lies and suspicions given to all of the middle class of Russia. This is Old Major, a pig who is introduced only briefly in the beginning of the book. He teaches them animalism right before he dies and teaches them the song Beasts of England. He also cities them into rebellion, which they do soon after his death. He is a fictional mix of Karl Marx, the creator of communism, and Vladimir Lenin, who helps plot the rebellion against Tsar of Russia.
Mrs. Clover, friend and fellow horse of Boxer. She is very compassionate to all the animals and seems to follow the lives of Napoleon and Sheeran. She is a fictional character with no specific allegory involving the Soviet Union.
This is Moses. He is a tame raven who spreads stories of Sugar Candy Mountain, the paradise that the animals supposedly go to when they die. Kind of like heaven. Moses doesn't really have a big role. In fact, he has a small role in Animal Farm. Orwell uses him to show how communism exploits religion as something that can shush people who are being oppressed. This is Molly, the vain, flighty mare who pulls Mr. Jones's carriage. Molly craves the attention of humans and loves spa treatment. She has a difficult time with her new life being taken over on the farm. She misses wearing ribbons, eating sugar cubes. She represents the petite bourgeois that fled from Russia a few years after the Russian Revolution.
This is Benjamin, the elderly donkey who refuses to comply and go with the rebellion. Benjamin firmly believes that life will be unpleasant, no matter who is in charge. Of all the animals on the farm, he understands that changes will take place, and he seems to not have the will to oppose the pigs.
This is Muriel, the white goat who reads the 7 commandments to Clover. Whenever Clover suspects the pigs are violating their rules, she's not necessarily sure of the story, but she does try to keep them in check while the power starts going to their heads. This is Mr. Jones. He is a cruel and neglectful owner of the manure farm. He is usually drunk, and when he isn't, he is very cruel to the animals in his care. He demands much of them, but gives them little food or water, and works them cruelly. He is the allegory of Tsar Nicholas II, the ruler of Russia, until he was murdered in 1918.
This is Mr. Pilkington. He is the easygoing gentleman farmer who runs Foxwood Farm, a neighboring farm. He was Mr. Frederick's bitter enemy. They hated each other. Mr. Pilkington represents the capitalist governments of England and the United States during World War I.
This is Minimus, a poetic pig who writes the second and third verses of Beasts of England after the first verse is banned from being sung. This is Mr. Whimper, who is a shrewd little man who gives the animals needed supplies, such as dog biscuits and parchment, and later for the pigs, alcohol. He has no particular allegory, but might represent the criminal underground who help provide some goods from other countries to the communists. The barn represents the Seven Commandments and over time becomes a collective memories of what is happening. The windmill represents what the pigs are going on against each other.
This is Mr. Frederick, the tough, shrewd owner of Pinchfield, a neighboring farm. He's based on Adolf Hitler, who was the ruler of Nazi Germany in the 1930s and 40s. Mr. Frederick proves to be an untrustworthy neighbor. In Animal Farm, there were different motifs and symbols that were used. In the Soviet Union, there was a corruption of socialist ideals. The story retells the creation of Soviet communism through animals. The Animal Farm gains its power from the dictatorship of Joseph Stalin. With Mr. Jones and the overthrow of the human oppressor, the democratic coalition of all the animals gives more power among the pigs. This is similar to the Soviets. Pigs themselves running part of this society. Snowball and Napoleon begin a rivalry between the animals, like Stalin and Trotsky. The novel goes in depth on the corruption within the people with power. Orwell writes about the violence, language, logic, and ideals.
The poems, songs, and slogans serve as propagandas. Within every class, they are treated differently. The songs are more directed toward the working class animals who are all in agreement on how they feel what is going on. Also, the Animal Farm represents Russia and the Soviet Union under communism. The barn represents the Seven Commandments and over time becomes a collective memories of what is happening. The windmill represents what the pigs are going on against each other. I believe this is an okay story because it didn't really interest me. I believe if you want to read a novel about the events leading up to the Russian Revolution, this would be a great fiction novel to read. I would rate this book a 2 out of 5 stars because it is not my preference.
I honestly like this book. It's very well written, shows great sense of character, and shows the easy to follow takeover of Napoleon. I would rate this book 4 out of 5 stars.
Thank you for watching this week's Review Rebel. Stay tuned